Joe Biden has a town hall that is almost completely unannounced last night, so we'll talk a bit about some of the stuff that went through there, including watching some video of the man speak once again. We had Tom Elliott come out and give us a nice highlight reel, so we will go over all of that. In other news, the 1-6 Commission is now out in full swing. Pelosi has picked her pawns from the other side, and Kevin McCarthy has said, well, okay, then we'll just do one too. Why the fuck not? So we'll talk a bit about what's happening there. Larry Elder is heading back to the California ticket. So we'll talk just a bit about what that means and how we got from point A to point B. And an Alabama doctor has a very cold message for her patients that don't get the vaccine. So we'll go over that too. Plus, we will do something I'm thankful for, which we were supposed to do yesterday, but I felt the need to do a thing that I like and a thing that I hate yesterday. It's my show. If I want to screw up, I can screw up here, but it's going to be all this and more. Hey, do you trust the plan yet? I am J. Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is J. Edgar. We're a little bit behind today because, well, I'm working for two right now, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Thank you, everybody who's been patient with me. The audience that comes back, the audience that returns, because, yeah, it is getting to, and we stayed up a little bit late last night, too. That was a little bit my fault because I asked my good friend Seawall to help me mod up Fallout 3 and New Vegas, so we can get a better display for you guys here because, well, we're going to be returning to the game streaming world sometime here in the near future. Dude, I need something to wind down with. And I want to share my wind down time with you guys. So look for that coming up in the near future. That's going to be coming up. The mods that we have on Fallout 3 look absolutely gorgeous. And I figure since we did Fallout New Vegas on this channel already, then we'll go to Fallout 3 next. But yeah, it looks brand new. It looks great. We're probably not going to do it on YouTube the next time. So once the Fallout streaming comes in, we'll still do news on YouTube and everything, but yeah, we'll just do gaming over on Twitch and DLive. We'll just do those over there because, hey, you know, there's a lot of music and whatnot that gets copyrighted if you play the music on the YouTube side, and I don't really want to give them any of the fun views. I want to give them the news views so they can continue to justify trying to hold my channel down, which, by the way, has been growing too. So you guys all rock. Thank you, everybody who has come by and subscribed over the past couple weeks. The Jessica Green audience, the Stephen Ignoramus audience, even Seawall's friends coming in here to come and check that out. You guys all rock. And speaking of which, before we get into any of the news here, head on over and check out my friends over on the streaming side who will be coming forward to help me out in a new project that's set to release this fall. You can go check out The Generational Gap, The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, and The Freckles and Brick Show. Head on over there. Check out all my great friends. They're really great people. They do a lot of great streaming, and there's a reason I invited them into my new project. So head on over there, give them support, check them out, and help me support great creators. Let's get the monitors up here. Let's get the live chat up here so I can see what you guys are doing here. And let's get into this right now, starting with finance for the day. The Dow was up yesterday. The Dow was up to 34,798 even. So, I mean, it was a fairly good day again. The futures look like they're going to pop back up again, but I'm a little bit nervous about this because I know they're going to come back and try to print their way back out of it. And Joe Biden said as much last night, so we'll see where that goes and what that happens there. Your Bitcoin is up slightly. It didn't have quite the rebound that it had yesterday, but it is still up. $31,909 US on your Bitcoin. So enough people bought it on sale that the value came back up. And some of you guys made out like, well, I'm not going to say like bandits, but you made out better than you were yesterday. I can tell you that. So good on that and good on Bitcoin for coming back up and at least holding stable. Looking in on the fuel prices up in Madison, Wisconsin, where I will never shop, but still makes a good benchmark because it's far enough away from here that I don't self-dox, but still close enough that we can look and see what gas prices are going on in the rest of the country here. Gas is steady at $2.79 across the Madison area, all the way from the Quick Trip in Madison proper up to the Woodman's in also Madison proper. So $2.79 all the way. That means that it has been coming down slightly over the past few days as a lot of our travel subsides until we get up to Labor Day weekend. And we see some other stuff coming on the OPEC side. Let's see what IBD has to say. Reading from Investors Business Daily, Dow Jones Futures add to stock market rally. Square and Tesla rival flash buy signs. This is from Ed Carson. Dow Jones Futures rose slightly Thursday morning along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ futures treasury yields and crude oil prices rose sharply. The stock market rally on Wednesday added to its rebound with recovery plays, chipmaker and most EV makers powering higher, but trading volume declined yet again. Bitcoin rebounded. Texas Instruments, Discover Financial. People still have a Discover card? And Tenet Healthcare reported earnings late after all three closed in buy range. Discover stock rose slightly overnight while Texas Instruments and Tenet retreated. In Wednesday's solid market rally, Square stock broke past cup with handle base buy point on Wednesday, perhaps helped by Bitcoin. Floor and Decor moved past its own cup with handle pattern. Morgan Stanley cleared a flat base after rebounding from its 50-day line on Tuesday, according to MarketSmith analysis. Li Auto soared, breaking downtrend in a very deep consolidation, offering an aggressive buy point. NIO and XPeng Motors also jumped, but their handles are too low in their own deep bases. Tesla stock, meanwhile, edged lower. Bitcoin rose as high as 32,815 on Wednesday, trading just below 32,000 Thursday morning. The Bitcoin price rebounded from below 30,000 on Tuesday, essentially at 2021 lows. Tesla CEO Elon Musk, Square, Twitter, CEO Jack Dorsey, and ARK Invest Cathie Wood spoke about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies at the Bitcoin event, The B Word. Wow, that's the best you guys could come up with. You guys have fully and openly reshape the way we communicate and are telling us that you can control it. And the best thing you come up for a Bitcoin summit with is the B word? Really? Musk said he personally owns Bitcoin. Oh, fucking of course he did. Which, it's going to the moon again! Ethereum, and of course Dogecoin. He added that Tesla and SpaceX own Bitcoin. Musk, who has made positive and negative comments about Bitcoin, says, on balance, I support Bitcoin. He joked about how his tweets, memes, and other winks have boosted cryptocurrencies, but said he doesn't use these times to sell. I might pump, but I don't dump. Texas Instruments earnings beat while chipmaker gave cautious Q3 sales guidance. Texas Instruments stock slid nearly 5% before the open. Shares climbed 3.45% on Wednesday to 194.24, back above a 192.13 cup with handle buy point. But the relative strength line for Texas Instrument stocks has lagged somewhat. Discover Financial earnings easily beat views as loans increase. The credit card operator also announced a DFS stock buyback of $2.4 billion and raised its quarterly dividend 14% to 50 cents a share. Discover Financial stock edged higher early Thursday. DFS stock popped 3.5% on Wednesday to 125.55, just reclaiming a 125.48 buy point. All right, let's look at the futures here. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here, and it's basically just moving at this point and seeing who moves and who doesn't. On your futures, Dow futures rose 0.1% versus fair value. S&P 500 futures climbed 0.1%. NASDAQ 100 futures advanced 0.1%. Crude oil prices rose about 1%. The 10-year Treasury yield climbed 2 basis points to 1.30%. And remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. I'm not going to read any more from this article, but I do want to point out the fact that IBD has continued, they have brought coronavirus news back up right under the futures once again. So they're going to see something coming up. We're going to see that coming up, affecting all the markets going. And who'd have thought Texas Instruments would actually still be a thing? I mean, with graphing calculators and graphing programs on everybody's computer at this point, or smartphone, TI is still doing its thing? That's awesome. Way to weather the storm, you guys. Let's see what CNBC has to say. Then we will start to listen to the town hall. All right, from CNBC, stock futures rise with the Dow set to gain for a third day. From Tanaya Makel and Pippa Stevens. U.S. stock futures were higher on Thursday as stable bond yields continued to give the green light to investors to buy stocks following Monday's market rout. Futures contracts tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 33 points or 0.1%, pointing to a third day of gains for the blue chip average following Monday's pullback. S&P 500 futures rose 0.1% and NASDAQ 100 futures added 0.2%. The Dow is now up 0.3% on the week and sits less than 1% from a record high. The 10-year Treasury yield was slightly higher on Thursday to 1.29%, up from a drop from 1.17% earlier in the week that spooked stocks. Names closely linked to economic reopening were higher in pre-market trading. Royal Caribbean was up 1%. Energy stocks were higher as oil rebounded back above $70 a barrel. Bank shares were higher with yields stable in early trading. A strong second quarter earnings season report continues. AT&T shares gained 1% after earnings and revenue topped analyst estimates. CSX jumped 2% after the railroad's second quarter profit more than doubled. However, Texas Instruments was set to weigh on tech shares, down more than 4% in early trading. The chipmaker topped expectations for the second quarter, but warned that third quarter results could fall short of analyst estimates. On Wednesday, the Dow gained 286 points or 0.83%, while the S&P 500 climbed 0.82%. The NASDAQ Composite was the relative outperformer, rising almost 1%. Energy was the top performing S&P group, advancing 3.5% as oil prices rebounded. So we might see our gas prices come back up. The earnings season is going to come in there. That's going to hold some things up. I am a little bit nervous about Royal Caribbean because I believe that is on all three of the major indices. And if we start to see more Delta variant panic, that's going to drive Royal Caribbean, along with Carnival, Norwegian, and all the other cruise lines back down. It's probably going to take some of the airlines with it too. So watch your portfolio, check with your financial advisor, because nothing you hear here is official financial advice. None of this that you hear off of this morning program is official financial advice, but check with your financial advisor. Make sure you yourself are protected, because it looks to me, just with everything coming in here, that we are probably going to see another drop. So go and check that out. All right, let's go watch some video, shall we? We're going to start talking about the Biden town hall. And Tom Elliott gave us a nice highlight reel here, 5 videos, that we can take away from this town hall. And they're all just a little bit either over a minute or under a minute, so this shouldn't take us too long. And then I got a whole bunch of articles to do with this. And then we'll talk about the January 6th Commission, too. But let's get into it, shall we?
That's underway, just like the other question is illogical. And I've heard you speak about it because I'm not being solicitous, but you're always straight up about what you're doing. Yeah. And the question is whether or not we should be in a position where you why can't the experts say we know that this virus is in fact it's going to be, or excuse me, we know why all the drugs approved are not temporarily approved but permanently approved. Yeah. That's underway too. I expect that to occur quickly.
Well, that means you mean for the FDA?
For the FDA.
Yeah.
That's underway, just like the other question is illogical. And I've heard you speak about it because I'm not being solicitous.
Yeah, that's one thing here. Let's grab another one. Biden says our multi-trillion-dollar spending bills will reduce inflation, reduce inflation, reduce inflation. Love to see the math on that, Joe. Let's have a listen.
You seem pretty confident that inflation is temporary, but if you're pumping all of this money into the economy, couldn't that add to...
No, look, here's the deal. Moody's today, when a Wall Street firm, not some liberal think tank, said if we pass the other two things I'm trying to get done, we will in fact reduce inflation. Reduce inflation. Reduce inflation. Because we're going to be providing good opportunities and jobs for people who in fact are going to be reinvesting that money back in all the things we're talking about. Driving down prices, not raising prices. And so it is, I sincerely mean this. Prices are up now, and they're up in, for example, you're in a position where you're trying to build a house, try to find 2x4s and lumber. Well, guess what? People stop working cutting lumber.
This guy's never seen a fucking 2x4 in his fucking life, first and foremost. And, I'd love to see the math on this. I understand the funny math that he's trying to put on here because God knows, growing up in a union household, I knew that all Democrats are always right and all Republicans are always wrong. That was a lesson that was belted into me from the time that I was young. And I understand the funny math that they're trying to come out with this and say, oh, well, no, I mean, if we do this, we're going to do this instead. But realistically, that is not the case of what's happening here. You are printing an exorbitant amount of money, not a small amount, an exorbitant amount of money. And you don't have the GDP growth to carry it. I would not print this amount of money and spend this amount of money if you had GDP growth going with it. But you have I'm not going to say you have negative GDP growth right now, but you've got better than average GDP. Oh, come on, man! I'm talking like Biden here over here. You have better than average GDP growth and possibly some of the growth that we should have seen coming out of the Obama administration, but under the Great Recession. But at the same time, we lost 30% of the GDP last year. So there is, if you're just going to open everything up, no reason that we shouldn't see double-digit GDP growth coming back. We're not going to see the 33% again, but we should at least be able to see 10, not 6. Especially with the way you fuckers are printing money.
They stopped doing it because the unemployment was so down. Now all of a sudden there's this need because people are coming back, and guess what? Instead of paying 10 cents, you're paying 20. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It relates to what, in fact, is now needed because we're growing.
Compared to where we were, I wouldn't call this growth. Now, have we not dropped 33% of the GDP last year because all these states decided they needed to have their shutdown orders? Then I would call the 6% that we're getting right now a fantastic economic growth. And I would raise my glass and say, huzzah to whoever the president is who has made the policies that have given us 6% growth. That's not the case right now. It's not. All right, let's grab another one here. This is also from Tom Elliott. Biden. Those of you who travel abroad, it's not a joke. As you know, when I went to this G7, all the major democracies.
But, folks, the rest of the world's wondering about us. Those of you who travel abroad, not a joke. Not a joke. You asked, when I went to this G7, all the major democracies. I walked in, and I know a lot of them because of my role in the past. And they walk in, and I said, America's back. And they go, I'm serious, heads of state. I give you my word as a Biden. I said, are you really back? I mean, how can we believe you, Joe. But will the country ever get it together? I talked to Xi Jinping in China, who I know well. We don't agree on a lot of things. He's a bright and really tough guy. He truly believes that but, folks, are you
back, man? Come on, man. All right, Biden, who is vowing to raise the corporate income tax rate, boasts that Delaware, where there is no corporate income tax for most businesses, has more registered corporations than all the rest of America combined. I gotta go over and give Tom Elliott a thank you.
Ever think of a time Those of you who are economists, who teach here economics, can you think of any time when the middle class did better, the wealthy didn't do really well? I'm not being facetious now. I'm being deadly earnest. Can you think of any time that's occurred when the middle class does better? I'm tired of trickle down. I come from the corporate state of America. And by the way, I think you should be able to go out and make $1 billion or $100 million if you have the capacity to do it. But I ask one thing. Pay your fair share.
Oh, he's doing the whisper. He did the whisper again. He did it. He did it. The creepy fucking Joe whisper. Pay your fair share.
I really mean it. If you know anything about me, check me out. We have more corporations registered in Delaware than all the rest of America combined. Combined. I represented for 36 years.
I built a tax haven for my rich business buddies. And that's what it is, too. I mean, this guy in Congress for 47 years. Hey, I want to build a factory, and I know I'm going to pay out with the ass in federal tax. Can you find a way to give me some kind of a break for my state and local taxes? And, you know, corporate Biden, I'm a corporate man. I got you, fam. All right. Hey, lower the corporate tax rate. I want my buddies here. They're going to give my campaign money, man. Come on.
I've never seen a time when we have the middle class growing that the wealthy didn't do very, very, very well.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to do. Build it out and up, not just down.
So that people like our...
All right. Last one that we'll have on this one here. Tom Elliott tweets out, Biden, Congress must protect our rights. The most important one is the right to vote. It's the single most important one. And your vote counted. And counted by someone who honestly counts it. And by someone who honestly counts it, I mean someone who counted as a Democrat. Because Orange Man and Donald Trump, and I'll take him out behind the woodshed.
It is.
If it's a relic of Jim Crow, it's been used to fight against civil rights legislation.
Oh my fucking God, did Don Lemon really just say relic of Jim Crow? Oh.
Historically, why protect it?
There's no reason to protect it other than you're going to throw the entire Congress into chaos and nothing will get done.
All right.
Nothing at all will get done. And there's a lot at stake. The most important one is the right to vote. That's the single most important one. And your vote counted, and counted by someone who honestly counts it. But it goes beyond that. For example, wouldn't my friends on the other side love to have a debate about the filibuster instead of passing the Recovery Act? Or wouldn't they love doing it instead of being in a position where we provide for... How many of you have children? It is.
If it's a relic of...
Is he talking about the filibuster? Yeah, Highleaf is asking if he's talking about voter ID laws. No, I think he's talking about the filibuster as a relic of Jim Crow that I used hundreds of times in my 47 years in Congress to make sure that the evil Republican thing is... Yeah, because I think we're actually going to talk about that later on, too. I think I've got one from... What the fuck is that? Yeah, from CBS. So, yeah, we'll talk about the filibuster. So, yeah, I don't think it was voter ID laws. I think it was the filibuster. So, let's talk about that. CNN, in their infinite objective wisdom, 5 takeaways from President Joe Biden's CNN town hall. This is from Kevin Liptak. President Joe Biden arrived in Ohio on Wednesday, mindful the days for actual bipartisan governing in Washington are quickly waning. Now, he's mindful for the fact that for once his shoes are on the right feet. Throughout his CNN town hall, he voiced again and again his conviction that Republicans will come along, even if some are poisoned by conspiracies and others, he said, are lying on his record. Unity All that unity. Can you feel the unity? He was confronted with open skepticism by some of his questioners, particularly on... This was a CNN town hall. There was no open skepticism. There was masked acceptance that we made to look like skepticism, but there was no open skepticism on this. By some of his questioners, particularly on the matter of voting rights. But he plodded ahead, elevating his belief in bipartisanship as nothing less than a quest to prove democracy can work. It was a reflection of the place Biden finds himself 6 months into his presidency. Yeah, amazed that he's still fucking alive. It's too early for him to give up on his pledge to unite the country by saying that his Republican colleagues are poisoned by evil conspiracy theories, by the way. Yet the window for getting something done with Republicans is closing. Here are 5 takeaways. This is not a pandemic. The first 6 months of Biden's presidency have been overwhelmingly focused on combating the pinko fucking pox that's already been combated, and most everyone's forgotten about at this point until they tried to scare you with the fucking the Delta variant. Until about a month ago, the president and his team were feeling understandably good about their progress as cases plummeted, alongside a successful vaccination campaign. But the vaccination effort has stalled, and case counts, fueled by the highly transmissible Delta variant, are rising. Biden was visibly frustrated at his predicament on Wednesday, which he suggested was fueled by vaccine disinformation proliferating in conservative circles. Number 2, selling the plan. Biden entered Wednesday's town hall just as a test vote failed on his much-touted bipartisan infrastructure plan, an early blow that Biden declared irrelevant. Still, he and his aides have signaled the coming weeks will be essential for enacting his sweeping agenda before midterm election season heats up. So too is the clock ticking on fulfilling his campaign promise to work with Republicans to prove that democracy is still functional. Biden acknowledged it was a question he's receiving from foreign leaders who asked him whether the U.S. will ever get it together, and he said a proliferation of conspiracy theories was making working together more difficult, citing one that Biden is hiding people and sucking the blood of children. I'm sure my neighbor is wondering what the fuck that just was. Still, the president insisted on working together, remaining his North Star, including when he was questioned by a member of the audience about the utopian need to gain bipartisan support. I may be the wrong guy to talk to, Biden warned, his acknowledgement. He wasn't planning to give up anytime soon on his insistence that Republicans and Democrats do what he wants. Work together. Tough economic love. Politicians are ordinarily wary of bearing bad news. Biden has insisted he won't sugarcoat the facts. And on Wednesday, he delivered somewhat unwelcome economic news in 2 separate answers. He acknowledged current price increases were real when questioned about overheating economy, and he frankly told the restaurant chain owner that he'll continue to struggle hiring workers for the foreseeable future because they're not going to give up on the unemployment benefits. And suggested the restaurant owner raise his wages. Yes, put yourself out. Put yourself into debt to make payroll. Well, at some points, especially on the small business ones, you're probably not making a profit. You'll continue struggling to hire people, so raise your wages. That was Biden telling a restaurant owner, fuck yourself. Don't question me and go and fuck yourself. It was some tough economic love, but Biden was trying to make a point about major changes he's trying to effect on American workers' lives in his first year in office, convinced whatever side effects being felt right now pale in comparison to the larger benefits down the road. Jesus fucking Christ, and he believes this. If he's coherent enough to understand to say that, he believes this. And there will be near-term inflation because everything now is trying to be picked back up. he said, detailing how his economic team has advised him current price increases won't last. So he won't sugarcoat the bad news, but his advisement team will sugarcoat it to him as demand returns to normal levels. When's that going to be, Joe? When is that going to be exactly? Yeah, demand is going to get there, but, people are going to choose between food and their big screen TV, and they're going to choose food for their family first. Filibuster bust. Nowhere is Biden's reverence for traditions of Washington filibuster, which progressives blame for stalling progress on any manner of items, but mostly on voting rights bills that have failed to gain any traction among Republicans. Biden bemoaned the fact that the two items, voting rights and the filibuster, have become so intertwined, though the legislative progress is inherently linked to the existence of a rule requiring a 60-vote threshold on most bills. Biden has said that he's open to changing the filibuster to require some senators to speak on the Senate floor as they hold up bills, but he has stopped short of backing some Democrats' calls to eliminate it altogether. It was likely an unsatisfying answer to the incoming law school student who asked Biden about the logic of getting rid of the filibuster to protect our democracy and secure the right to vote. Well, see, there's a big problem with Biden eliminating the filibuster. It's not necessarily that he believes that it's right or wrong. He's just doing what he's told at this point. He is not the one who is running the administration, and you need to understand that. But the Biden himself, in what little bit of coherence he has left, Biden himself and the Biden handlers all together all know that as soon as he comes out on the other side and says, okay, man, come on, well, we got to end up filibuster. And come on, man, and just do what the Democrats say, all right? Don't hurt me. Kamala, what are you doing behind me? As soon as he does that, Fox News, The Daily Wire, The Blaze, The Guardian, The Gateway Pundit, and possibly even some of the outlets that are friendly to him, like CNN, like Politico. I have a side story about that a little bit later. It's not on the stack. It's just something I want to get off my chest. But even some of these outlets that are friendly to him are going to turn around and say, this is how many times Joe Biden has used the filibuster since 1974. He has used the filibuster. I bet you it's in triple digits. Just him himself, not necessarily Senate Democrats. I'm sure it's in triple digits for Senate Democrats, but I'm sure he himself has used it at least 100 times. Personally, to get this all stopped, to get the agenda stopped that he doesn't want to see go through. And everybody knows it. Even with Barack coming out, and Barack can't shape policy, or so we say he can't shape policy, but even him coming out against the filibuster, we've all pointed out the fact that he loved to use that when the couple of years he was in the fucking Senate. And I want to point something else to you. The voting rights thing, that's not his top priority. They're just putting that up on the top because then they can get all the little base to come out and say, and the filibuster, Republicans are evil and using the filibuster. They don't care about voting rights. They don't give a fuck. Because they can come back and honk, fortify the election. They can honk, make the election say whatever they want in a simulation, not in real life at this point. And they know it. Their goal is the end of the filibuster, not the voting rights. Because they're out there to ramrod that agenda through, but they put the voting rights thing on the top because then they can say, oh, look, Georgia and Texas, they're making it restrictive. They're doing Jim Crow in their states. You better let us pass this up on the federal level, knowing full well that as soon as it hits the Supreme Court, it's probably a 9-0 decision that's fucking gone. Article 2, Section 1 is clear. And a big rubber stamp comes in and says, rejected. So he knows that. Everybody knows that. But it's about getting the filibuster out of there so they can cram through the rest of their agenda. not necessarily getting voting rights. The cage is still gilded. Last time Biden participated in a CNN town hall event, he likened living in the White House to residing in a gilded cage, telling Anderson Cooper that he was unused to being waited on by staff. Okay, if I actually believe that, we'll move on away from that. Things have not changed much since then, he said on Wednesday, and he missed being able to emerge from his bedroom for breakfast in a robe in the morning. Jill! Where are my pants? And he'd like to put on shorts and a t-shirt and stroll around outside. No, that one's too easy. There is making fun of a politician, and that one's too easy. The moment it sank in that he is now president, the leader of the free world, was on his June trip to Europe, Biden said, when he sat across from leaders like Vladimir Putin as an equal. He knows who I am. I know who he is. Indeed, Biden appeared in his element while abroad, seizing on 4 decades he'd spent climbing the ranks of I can't even read this one anymore. If you thought that was him in his element, with Jill Biden running up and pulling him away because he's standing in the middle of foreign dignitaries from around the world, confused and wondering where the fuck he was, if that's in his element, we have bigger problems in this country right now. Anyway, that's your 5 takeaways from the town hall. I spent a lot more time on that than I planned to. Let's talk about this one here from CBS News. Biden says eliminating the filibuster would throw the entire Congress into chaos. This is from Catherine Watson. President Biden essentially rejected the idea of eliminating the filibuster, asserting that doing so would throw the entire Congress into chaos and nothing would ever get done. No, that's not the case. If you can't Hong Kong fortify the election after eliminating the filibuster, you will lose. You will lose spectacularly the next time around, and probably for another 1,000 years, and you know it. He was in Cincinnati at a town hall Wednesday night, and his desire to preserve the filibuster with some reforms came despite prodding from CNN host Don Lemon about the role of the filibuster in stalling civil rights legislation and amid clear support among audience for eliminating it. When a first-year law student asked about eliminating the filibuster, which meant in modern times that most legislation needs 60 votes to end debate and move forward, the audience cheered, while some Democrats have said eliminating the filibuster is the only way to pass voting rights. It is. Mr. Biden demurred and suggested that he wants and believes he can get broader coalition. He said he wanted to bring Republicans along too. See, what little bit is left in his fucking Swiss cheese brain knows that if you try to cram your agenda down the other side's throat, you are not going to be let out at the voting booth. You will be let out at the end of a rifle. He knows that very well. He is shrewd for whatever of his brain is left. The president pushed the Senate to move forward with the voting rights legislation and not get wrapped up in whether this is all about the filibuster. It is. In Mr. Biden's second town hall since taking office, COVID-19 and restarting the economy dominated the discussion. He addressed the spike in pinko fucking pox cases, declining vaccination rates, and also immigration, the opioid crisis, and the ongoing debate in the Senate over his infrastructure bill. He remains confident that despite the failed procedural vote on the bill Wednesday, the legislation will be treated more favorably on Monday. And the bill will ultimately be successful. I think this is going to get done, he said. The infrastructure bill is a large part of Mr. Biden's economic agenda, and he insisted Wednesday that it has bipartisan support and repeatedly praised home state Senator Rob Portman of Ohio, a Republican. Lemon kicked off the town hall by asking Mr. Biden about vaccinations as the nation grapples with slowing vaccination rates and infections that are rising in some states because of the rapidly spreading Delta variant among those without protection against the disease. We have a pandemic for those who haven't got the vaccination. It's that basic. It's that simple. Holy shit. I'm talking like Biden too much here. Starting to hurt my throat. Mr. Biden noted that there are ongoing trials of the vaccination of children under 12 years of age, and he said he thought kids in school will likely be wearing masks in the fall. Oh, good. Oh, good. All right, let's grab one here. From the New York Post. He's no sellout. Biden speaks to half-empty room at CNN town hall. Jennifer Epstein tweets out what the Biden CNN town hall looks like from the back of the auditorium. Let's get that opened up a little bit further. Most popular president in history. And it's not like it's social distancing, because they're all fucking gathered together, too. Do you see that? President Biden on Wednesday spoke to a half-empty auditorium while doing a live CNN town hall event in Ohio. The more than dozen empty rows weren't apparent to television viewers thanks to flattering shots that appeared to show a full, non-distance crowd, packing the front rows in a striking visual display of normalcy after more than a year of the pinko fucking pox. But members of the traveling White House press pool shared photos from the back of the room, revealing that, in fact, the venue was far from packed at Mount St. Joseph University in Cincinnati. Bloomberg News reporter Jennifer Epstein, who traveled with Biden as a representative of wire services, tweeted out an image of what the Biden CNN town hall looks like from the back of the auditorium. And there we see it. Now, once again, a half auditorium I could understand if we're in pinko pox time and this is, social distance and, they're all spread out and everything. But no, they packed them all in like fucking sardines in the front so they can make the cameras look over the tops of the heads of these people. All right. From the USA Today, at CNN Town Hall in Ohio, Biden says flagging U.S. vaccination effort needs new messengers. Because that's not dystopian. From Sarah Elbeshbishi. President Biden called for new apolitical messengers, including scientists, athletes, and members of the clergy. Yeah, those are apolitical. To help push people to get the vaccine during a CNN town hall Wednesday, as vaccine efforts plateau even as the pinko pox cases are again increasing. Among the messengers the country needs to get its vaccinations back on track, he said, were the nation's scientists, many of whom have been denigrated by anti-vaccination advocates and others recently. What we're doing, man, is number one. I'm sorry, I can't do the Biden voice anymore. That is just too raw in my throat right now. What we're doing, number one, is to restore America's faith in science, is listen to the scientists, Biden said on Wednesday. I'm not joking. I mean literally, listen to the scientists and not interfere, not rush anything. Just let the scientists proceed because they desperately want to get in this fight. The Delta variant continues to spread. The 7-day average of the daily vaccine doses administered in the U.S. nationally dipped below 300,000 on Thursday for the first time since late December. I'm actually a little surprised it's still that high. I'm not going to lie. While vaccinations have slowed, COVID cases have risen. The 7-day average for daily new cases increased over the past 2 weeks to more than 37,000 cases on Tuesday. Biden also emphasized the importance of getting the support of people of consequence in specific communities in order to encourage people to get vaccinated. We're getting people of consequence respected in the community, whether they're athletes, whether or not they're entertainers, whether they're just well respected, Biden added. One influential group helping to encourage the community to get vaccinated is African American churches, according to Biden. I have overwhelming support in the African American clergy, he said. They're opening up their churches for vaccination centers, which is cool. I am never going to look down on somebody who decided to weigh the risks, and I've said this, and I will continue to say this every day. Your body, your choice. If you want to go get the vaccination, then do it. I don't. So I'm not going to do it. We're sitting at a point, especially if you're vaccinating 300,000 people a day. You're going to run out of a reservoir at some point here, and we're at a point where I'm pretty comfortable saying that everyone who wants the vaccine has already got the vaccine, which is cool. So save a few doses, put a couple of them in the freezer or however you preserve them, or save the formula so you can whip up a new batch when you need some, because at some point down the future, somebody else is going to say, yeah, you know that vaccine? You know, I kind of want that right now. And start sending them to India, where millions of people want the vaccine, but don't have the availability to get it. Yeah, over in India, there's a crisis. Over in India, there are countless people who want the vaccine but can't get it. So send it over to them. They want it. The vast majority of people who want the vaccine over here already have it. And I'm not saying, like, deplete our reserves. Keep a little bit in reserve, because there are going to be people who change their mind. We're Americans. We weigh the risks. We get new factors brought forward to us. So keep a reserve. But yeah, let's start. If this is really that important and you're giving this shit away for free anyway, then start looking at places that need it and want it. This is not rocket science. All right, from CNN. Biden predicts restaurant and businesses will be in a bind for some time due to labor shortages. From Megan Vasquez and Kevin Liptak. President Biden conceded during a CNN town hall on Wednesday that certain businesses will remain in a bind for a little while, with labor shortages part of a major set of problems that's unfurling as his 6-month-old presidency reaches a critical juncture. Pinkpox cases are rising, a testament to vaccination efforts that has stalled amid waves of disinformation. You just can't be objective, can you? Pent-up demand has caused an uptick in prices, leading to concerns over inflation, and Biden's much-touted bipartisan infrastructure deal remains in a state of limbo as Republicans and Democrats rush to finalize the plan. Asked by a restaurateur about how the federal government will incentivize returns to work among industries with labor shortages, Biden said, I really think it's a matter of people deciding now that they have opportunities to do other things. And there is a shortage of employees. People are looking to make more money and to bargain. And so I think that your business and tourist business is really going to be in a bind for a little while, the president continued. Biden's visit to Ohio, a state that voted for former President Trump in last year's election, is part of a pattern of visiting red-leaning areas to promote popular proposals like child tax credit for free and community college. You mean optics. Upon his arrival in Cincinnati, Biden toured a union training center for electrical workers, part of his efforts to highlight the well-paying union jobs he says his economic plan will help create. He's visited Ohio 3 times since taking office, tying Michigan and Pennsylvania as his most visited states, excluding Delaware, where he spends many, many weekends, hidden away from the media. Look, if you know you don't have the votes to raise the minimum wage, because Manchin and Sinema aren't even going to get on this. Sinema's at least on board with raising the minimum wage, but she knows that she wants to have to sell it to Republicans in order to get it. So they don't turn around and get their 50-seat majority back next time through and turn around and dash the fucking thing to bits. They want to get some of them on board with it as well. And we won't even go over the inflationary costs that go along with that. But, you know, if we keep throwing them the unemployment, then these restaurateurs, if they want to keep their doors open or keep people on staff, well, then they need to come back in and say, hey, we'll pay you whatever you want. Just please come in and work. And that is a hard burn to an economy, no matter which direction we go with this. So, yeah, there's that. From Reuters, pandemic goes on for the unvaccinated. Biden tells Trump area town hall. I wouldn't necessarily call Cincinnati Trump area, but okay, you do you. President Biden pleaded with Americans on Wednesday to get vaccinated as rising COVID-19 cases threaten to undermine progress. Yeah, this is more fear porn. They're going to scare them. I'm going to gloss over this one, actually, just because that's a lot of the same stuff we talked about in this one with the USA Today. Let's grab one last one here from the Daily Wire. Then we will shift gears, I think. Yeah, and then we'll talk about the 1/6 commission. Biden I'm continuing to push to eliminate the sale of things like the 9mm pistol and rifle. From Daily Wire News. President Biden suggested during a CNN town hall Wednesday night that he is pushing to eliminate the sale of pistols along with rifles that have the ability to fire multiple rounds. I'm the only guy... Oh, man, I can't do that voice anymore. I'm the only guy that ever passed legislation when I was a senator to make sure we eliminated assault weapons, Biden said. The idea that you need a weapon that has the ability to fire 20, 30, 40, 50, 120 shots from... Dude, I want to be shopping where you're fucking shopping, dude. I want something that shoots 120 shots. Most of my stuff shoots 16. But whether it's a 9mm pistol or whether it's a rifle, it's ridiculous. Can you imagine the banana clip that would have to be on that fucking thing? I mean, that's just about full circle at that point. All right, let's listen to what he had to say, and that'll help my voice rest on this one here. Jason rants. They're not hiding their intentions. Joe Biden says he wants to ban handguns, not merely AR-15s like their previous dishonest talking point suggested. Watch Biden stumble through this town hall answer.
Involved. Actually, crime is down. Gun violence and murder rates are up. Guns. I'm the only guy that ever got passed legislation when I was a senator to make sure we eliminated assault weapons. The idea you need a weapon that can have the ability to fire 20, 30, 40, 50, 120 shots from that weapon, whether it's a 9mm pistol or whether it's a rifle, is ridiculous. I'm continuing to push to eliminate the sale of those things, but I'm not likely to get that done in the near term. So here's what I've done. The people who, in fact, are using those weapons are acquiring them illegally. And so what happens is I've gotten ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. I have them increase their budget and increase their capacity, along with the Justice Department, to go after the gun shops that are not abiding by the law of doing background checks. For real, that's number one.
Show me a gun shop that's staying in business for a long time, that's not abiding by the background check. Now, I'm not going to come out here and say it doesn't happen. I'm not going to come out here and tell you that it doesn't happen, because it does. But those gun shops don't usually last for very long, is the problem. Because something happens when they bypass the background check, and then the gun gets traced back to that shop, and then they're not in business anymore because they can't get a license to sell legitimately. Businesses that act like that, and this is coming from somebody who doesn't believe that those restrictions should be in place. The community should be there enough to come and tell you, okay, this person is mentally incompetent and shouldn't have a gun. This person beat up his wife and he shouldn't have a gun. The community should be able to do that. I'm a big proponent of community policing. So your community should be able to do that. And these restrictions shouldn't be in place. But I also understand the fact that because they are in place and we play within the rules that are put in front of us right now, then yes, if Cletus's fabulous guns in One Tooth, Wyoming decides, oh yeah, no, I know Clyde, and I'm gonna go give him a gun. I don't need to do no background check. I know that he's just fine. I know when he do that. And for whatever reason, horrifically, because he didn't know Clyde as well as he thought he did, Clyde goes out and does something stupid with that gun. And I'll leave the domestic violence out of it. If he goes out, okay, let's do one that I've actually seen happen somewhere else too. If Clyde goes out on his ATV with that rifle in his hand. I'm trying to wave to Boulder Vaughn. It's not working because he's over on the Instagram side. I guess that's not going to work today. So if Clyde goes out on his ATV with his loaded gun that Cletus sold him from Cletus's fine firearm, fabulous firearms, and he shoots his dumbass in the leg because he didn't know how to store the thing. He hit a bump with the ATV and it bumped the trigger, shot him in the leg. He has to go to the emergency room. They do a trace on the bullet. They find out that this gun left Cletus's fabulous firearms without a background check, and that Clyde's got a felony back on his record. Cletus's fabulous firearms is not going to have a license for very much longer. So, yeah, there's all that. And yes, I know that places like Cletus's Fabulous Firearms exist. They just don't stay in business for very long. All right, let's shift some gears here. Let's get off of this because we've spent way too much time on this program. We've spent almost the entire time, which is almost an hour, talking about finance and the Biden town hall. Let's talk about something else here, starting with Rachel Blade. Now, this is funny because this is a Politico reporter who, by the way, somebody else earlier on in the day, Ariadna, if you follow her on Twitter, she's always got a 7 of 9 profile picture, which says volumes about her, but we'll go off on another story. She replied to somebody else saying that Politico is usually critical of Democrats and Biden. Like, bitch, no, it's not. But this is Rachel Blade, a writer over at Politico. Pelosi's move to reject GOP picks for the 1-6 panel is going to be a gift to Kevin McCarthy in the long run. He wanted this panel to look partisan and political. Now it's definitely going to look partisan and political. I'm guessing because she believes that it's going to be partisan and political, which it is. So good job saying the quiet part out loud, Rachel Blade. Probably should archive this tweet at some point because I'm sure this one's going to disappear at some point. Reading from CNN. McCarthy pulls his 5 GOP members from 1-6 committee after Pelosi rejects 2 of his picks from Annie Grayer and Jeremy Herb. House Republicans balked at participating in the House committee that's investigating the Selfie Fest on Wednesday after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi rejected 2 of the 5 Republicans House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy had tapped for the panel. Pelosi's decision to reject the 2 Republicans and McCarthy's response to pull the rest of his members injected new fuel into the partisan fight over the Select Committee that's been raging since Democrats created the panel last month to investigate the circumstances surrounding the January 6th incident where Capitol Police just let people in. The committee will still have Republican representation from 1 member, Liz Cheney of Wyoming. Where's the Republican representation? I thought you said there was going to be a Republican representation. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. The Republicans that you control. An outspoken critic of former President Trump, who is one of Pelosi's 8 choices to serve on the committee. Cheney's participation keeps the committee bipartisan. No, it doesn't. Even without anyone appointed by McCarthy. Still, Pelosi's move to reject Jim Jordan and Jim Banks gives House Republicans an avenue to attack the Select Committee as a partisan endeavor. It is. McCarthy slammed the move shortly after it was announced on Wednesday. Unless Speaker Pelosi reverses course and seats all 5 Republican nominees, Republicans will not be party to their sham process and will instead pursue our own investigation of the facts, McCarthy said. At a news conference on Wednesday, McCarthy accused Pelosi of an egregious abuse of power. Pelosi has broken this institution, he said. Fact check true. One senior GOP source argued that Pelosi's move was a gift to Republicans because they never wanted to take part in it. If they were on the committee, would be forced to confront complicated questions over Trump's role in January 6th. He didn't have one. Not only that, given what we heard about... Oh, I closed the picture. How could I close the picture? Oh, wait, we'll grab it from my Twitter because I sent it over to Stephen Ignoramus. Maybe I did. I thought I did. We'll do some on-air production instead. Because that's what we do around here. Oh, yeah. There it is. Yeah, given what we saw with the Michigan thing here, I got a feeling that there's a lot of this guy hanging around. A nice, great, big, glowing one that you can see for a mile away. That joke took way longer than it should have to execute. But the lack of Republicans appointed by McCarthy on the panel means there will no longer be allies of Trump when the committee holds high-profile hearings on the January 6th attack. Next week's hearing with 4 officers from the front lines of January 6th is not being delayed, spokesman Drew Hamill told CNN. Oh, were you scared while you were out there? Yes, Madam Speaker, I was scared. He was scared! Mr. Officer, were there a lot of people there? Yes, Madam Speaker, there were a lot of people there. There were a lot of people there! I'm waiting to see what these hearings are so they can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I'm guessing what that's going to be. Cheney issued a statement on Wednesday on the steps of the Capitol defending Pelosi, criticizing McCarthy for earlier objecting to the creation of a bipartisan independent commission to investigate the insurrection. It wasn't an insurrection. She suggested that Jordan could be a material witness in the investigation. I agree with what the Speaker has done, Cheney said. Can I have my cookie now? Please, Madam Speaker, will you give me my biscuit? She added, at every opportunity, the minority leader has attempted to prevent the American people from understanding what happened. To block this investigation, I am absolutely dedicated and committed to making sure this investigation holds those accountable who did this and ensures that it never happens again. Wait, does that mean that we won't have an FBI anymore? Because, yeah, I'd be down with that. So that's what we see coming on from this. And of course, McCarthy, from Axios, McCarthy threatens to launch GOP investigation of the Capitol Selfie Fest. From Shauna Chen, the GOP will pursue its own investigation into the Capitol Selfie Fest if Speaker Pelosi doesn't reverse her rejection of the 2 Republicans named to the January 6th Select Committee, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said on Wednesday. Pelosi on Wednesday rejected McCarthy's naming of Reps Jim Jordan and Jim Banks to the committee, citing their objection to President Biden's electoral college victory. In response, McCarthy accused her of running a sham process with her egregious abuse of power. Well, where's the lie? Unless Pelosi reverses course and seats all 5 GOP nominees, Republicans will launch a parallel investigation with a broader scope that includes the death of Capitol Police Officer Billy Evans, per McCarthy. Yeah, that's not going to turn out well for Democrats, I guess, except for the fact that they've got a captive media who will tell the audience whatever it is that the Democrats want them to hear. What he's saying, Pelosi played games all the way, McCarthy said at a news conference, even when the sides were separated, even when the power went to one. She went further than anyone's gone before. I think it's clear to the American people this is a sham, but we'll make sure to get the real answers, he said. So they'll go back and investigate themselves over and over again. And, well, I guess we'll get nowhere. All right, let's grab one from the Blaze. Speaking of glowing ones. Oh, wait, that's not this one. This one is the glowing one. It's the next one's the glowing one here. Michigan GOP lawmakers end Governor Whitmer's rule by decree, and she's powerless to veto it. From Phil Shiver. Tyranny does have a face. It's that one, right there. Republican lawmakers in Michigan have officially killed a law that allowed Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer to lock down the state indefinitely during the pinko fucking pox pandemic, and the governor is reportedly powerless to veto it. According to WDIV-TV, Republican-led State House voted 60 to 48 on Wednesday to repeal an emergency powers law that granted broad authority to governors to issue emergency declaration and enact rules to protect the life and property or to bring the emergency situation within the affected area under control. The state Senate approved the repeal proposals last week. The law, known as the Emergency Powers of the Governor Act of 1945, was employed by Whitmer early on in the pandemic to enact draconian and indefinite health and safety restrictions, but it was declared unconstitutional by the Michigan Supreme Court last October. With the Wednesday vote, the law has now been completely wiped from the books, and since the repeal proposal was the result of a citizen-initiated campaign, the governor is unable to veto it. Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting way to run your Michigan laws. The citizens initiate it, and you can't veto it. I like that. We need to have more of that, actually. Another emergency powers law, known as Emergency Management Act of 1976, remains in place. Under that law, however, emergency orders cannot extend beyond 28 days unless they receive legislative approval. Unlock Michigan, the citizen campaign that led the repeal initiative, reportedly spent millions of dollars to collect hundreds of thousands of voter signatures in order to bring the bill before the state legislature. Fred Zolek, a spokesman for the group, celebrated the repeal vote on Wednesday, saying it ended Whitmer's rule by decree. Huzzahs are in order. All huzzahs are in order. Well, then that's good. Now, if there is a legitimate emergency that does require a sort of lockdown or something like that, yeah, it should have to be enacted by the legislature, not the governor. Well, let me take that back, because the governor can act on a wide latitude at the beginning. Like, say a bomb hits in Detroit and they need to lock down the area because there might be radiation coming from it. It might be a nuclear bomb. It hits Detroit. There's radiation in the area surrounding Detroit, and some of it leaking into fucking Canada on top of it. The governor has wide latitude to cordon off the area for 100 miles away to keep the radiation from spreading into everything else. And we'll use Michigan as an example there too. For 28 days, according to this. And to have that wide latitude to come out and say, no, I can't have you coming up here, that is a good thing. But to go beyond the 28 days, the representatives of like Grand Rapids or Mackinac Island or something, they represent the people up there who want to go in there and see if their friends and family and relatives are still safe in the Detroit area. I know that's an oxymoron to say, but they want to go back and go and check that out and see that. So it should be on the legislature then to come back and reassess the situation after 28 days and say, hey, can we do this? Is this safe? And then they either say, yes, this is safe, your decree is over, or no, this is not safe. Here's a law saying that you shall not pass into this area until such date has passed or such radiation level has fallen. So that's how that should go. Which is good. I like that. But speaking of Whitmer, from ABC 7 out of Detroit, that's WXYZ, new video, photos, and Whitmer kidnapping plot released. Defense tried keeping public from the footage. A new look inside the investigation against defendants who allegedly plotted to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. The video allegedly showing Barry Croft Jr. trading with a semi-automatic assault rifle in Wisconsin. It's part of a handful of evidence used in Croft's detention hearing, where the judge ruled he remains in custody without bond until his October trial. Images of Croft were also released after a coalition of media outlets, including WXYZ's parent company Scripps, petitioned the court for its release. One showing Croft with a We the People tattoo, propping up a Boogaloo flag, another holding a tactical shotgun, and another of Croft's modified rifle. If I'm the prosecutor, I'm submitting photographs because I'm saying, look, Judge, this guy is dangerous. Look at his guns. Look at this video. Look at his text messages. Now the defense attorney is going to say, wait, hold on a minute. The photography photographs are a bit silly, said former U.S. prosecutor Anjali Prasad. The reality of our world is people enjoy their guns, and they post videos and pictures of their guns every day, and that's not a crime. It's not a crime, but it's fucking stupid. Don't tell the government what you have, you dumb fuck. An attorney for Croft telling 7 Action News the detention hearing occurred several months ago before we had the opportunity to investigate the government's claims. We are looking forward to presenting all the facts to a jury this fall. Croft of Delaware faces multiple charges, including kidnapping, conspiracy, and conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction. Persecutors assert that Croft was one of the ringleaders in the plot against the governor. He's one of 5 awaiting trial. Is he the FBI guy? Because it does seem like the FBI guy was the ringleader in all this, as much as you're trying to tell us that that wasn't the case. We've got that glowing one out there, and 12 other. Once again, I gotta wonder, how big was this group? That 12 of the people can be FBI agents, and nobody batted a fucking eye to this. I don't know. Where's that picture of Jason Bright? This one. There he is. There are the people who are pulling the strings and all that. I'm saving that to my computer because we're going to be using that a lot. I've got a feeling. All right, what else do we have? Larry Elder. Let's talk about Larry Elder. Conservative radio host Larry Elder to appear on California recall ballot after judge's ruling. By the Associated Press. A California judge on Wednesday cleared the way for conservative talk radio host Larry Elder to join the field of candidates for an upcoming recall election aimed at removing Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom from office. Elder scored a swift court victory in Sacramento, where he challenged a decision by state election officials to block him from the September recall ballot. In a tweet, Elder wrote, "Victory! My next one will be September 14th at the ballot box." He added, "This isn't just a victory for me, but victory for the people of California, and not just those who favor the recall and support me, but all voters, including many who will come to know me." Superior Court Judge Lori M. Earle disagreed with the state decision that Elder failed to meet requirements to run in the election. Under a new requirement, candidates for California governor must publicly release tax records for the 5 most recent years to qualify for the ballot. The rule was passed in an effort by Democrats to force then-President Trump to release his tax records during the 2020 election. A court struck down the presidential requirement, but left in place for gubernatorial candidates. Well, yeah, technically, legally, it's still, I think, a violation of Fourth Amendment, but within their own state, yes, I believe they can still do so. It's up to interpretation from the Fourth Amendment. But the judge determined the rule didn't apply to recall elections, and even if it did, Elder substantially complied. "I don't find that Mr. Elder was required to file tax returns at all," the judge said. The ruling amounted to a rebuke for Secretary of State Shirley Weber, who was appointed by Newsom in December. In the election, the nation's most populous state, will be a marquee contest with national implications watched closely as a barometer of the public mood heading towards the 2022 elections, when a closely divided Congress again will be in play. So, well, Larry Elder will be on the ballot. Good. We'll get some more competition in there. From KRON4, speaking of Larry Elder leads the race to replace Newsom in a recall election. New poll reveals. "I thought it was Caitlin." An exclusive Inside California Politics Emerson College poll reveals conservative talk radio host Larry Elder is leading the race to replace Governor Gavin Newsom if he is recalled by voters. The exclusive new statewide poll of more than 1,000 registered voters, which has a margin of error of plus or minus 2.9%, asked respondents who they would vote for to replace Governor Newsom. Elder led the pack at 16%, with John Cox and Kevin Faulconer trailing behind, both at 6%. A large majority of respondents remain undecided. "I thought it was going to be Caitlin." And I mean, that's cool. And I like the fact that, talk radio hosts or people that actually sit down and analyze the stuff are getting into the race, and people are recognizing the fact that they know what they're doing. As far as, I don't know if this goes on jungle primary or what it is, but I mean, it'd be interesting to see. Elder, no matter what, would come in and he would be hamstrung, unfortunately. He wouldn't be able to do anything, but the rest of California would be hamstrung too because he can veto or the legislature can block him. Because he's going to come into this with a legislature that's completely against him if he manages to pull it back off. Which I would actually be quite impressed with if he did. And I'd be very happy to see from California. Not because I want to see California do something good or something bad. It's just because if they're hamstrung, then they can't do anything for a while. And they need some time off. From another Channel 4, this is from WWL4, CBS, out of New Orleans. New Orleans! Louisiana Senate rejects veto override on constitutional carry bill. From WWL staff, Republicans in Louisiana Senate failed to get enough votes to overturn Governor John Bel Elward's veto on a bill that would ditch permitting and training requirements to carry a concealed firearm in the state. The Dissociated Press reports that the 23-15 vote was short of the 26 needed votes to pass. Edwards struck down the legislation that would have allowed gun owners 21 and older to carry concealed guns without needing 9 hours of training on gun safety, a background check, and a payment of a fee. Pat Connick, who voted for the concealed carry bill during the regular session, was among 3 senators who said they had changed their minds. Connick said he spoke with law enforcement in his area that were in opposition to overturning the veto. The bill has divided Louisiana's law enforcement community. Dozens of police officers, police chiefs, sheriffs, and deputies called on lawmakers to not override the veto and to keep current concealed carry requirements in place. Well, I think it's pretty fucking base that they tried to get rid of it. It's kind of lame that it didn't go anywhere, but I think it's pretty goddamn base that it tried to. And on the other side of it, Louisiana Senate votes to override veto of transgender sports bill. From WDSU Digital Team. The Louisiana Senate has voted to override Governor John Bel Edwards' veto of a bill banning transgender people from playing girls' or women's sports. It still needs a supermajority of votes in the Louisiana House to become law. Edwards and trans advocates said the legislation is discriminatory. It could also prompt big events like the Final Four from pulling out of New Orleans. The Senate voted on the measure Tuesday, the opening day of the rare veto override session. The Senate vote was 26-12 and was made along party lines. So,
State Senator
we'll see where that goes. Shut up, you. We'll see where that one goes. Because we still have to wait for the House off that. But, I mean, yeah, we're starting to see legislation come back and not just let everything go by executive fiat anymore. The legislation pushing back on Whitmer. I mean, in my state, the legislation pushing back on Tony Evers, who thought that he was going to come in here and get this massive mandate to do whatever the fuck he wanted. Or whatever the teachers union wanted him to do. And the pushback by Robin Voss to keep him from doing so. I like that, in spite of the fact that I think Robin Voss is a little bitch. And it's a dude, so I can say that he's a little bitch. It would probably be a bigger problem if Robin Voss was a chick. But Robin Voss, I mean, yeah, he's a little bitch. But I do like what he's doing as far as keeping the governor in check. And the legislation coming back and saying, okay, hey, you want a veto? Hey, fine, we've got the votes to override you. We've looked to our executives as too much of kings in the past in this country, especially growing up between the 80s and the 90s with the Reaganomics and then the Clinton thing and Obama and all the people who worship the fucking Bushes for whatever reason I cannot completely begin to wrap my goddamn head around. It's time to push back and get away from them. So that's what we're seeing. All right, I'm going to go briefly over this because I think this one is still developing at this point. From Newsweek, Harry Dunn's lawyer berate Tucker Carlson for attack on 1-6 riot officer. Unfortunately, we don't get video for this because I had to archive this because it was only this and a handful of Huffington Post sites that were even talking about this here. So this one might develop a little bit later on. In fact, I'm actually going to save this one just because I want to see if there's any more development on this. And I know we're up against the clock, so let's actually go talk about this Alabama nurse instead. From AL.com. I'm sorry, but it's too late. Alabama doctor on treating unvaccinated dying COVID patients. Now, that headline is bad, but trust me, it gets worse. This is from Dennis Pillion. Dr. Brittany Cobia said Monday that all but one of her COVID patients in Alabama did not receive the vaccine. The vaccinated patient, she said, just needed a little oxygen and is expected to fully recover. Some of the others are dying. I'm admitting young, healthy people to the hospital with very serious COVID infections, wrote Cobia, a hospitalist at Grandview Medical Center in Birmingham, in an emotional Facebook post on Sunday. One of the last things they do before they're intubated is beg me for the vaccine. I hold their hand, tell them, I'm sorry, but it's too late. That is some angel of death level fucking shit right there. If my doctor, who was about to shove the tube down my fucking throat, whether I need it or not, because I'm actually curious as to whether or not some of these people need it, held my hand and told me it was too late, I would start begging for a different doctor. That is horrifying. 3 vaccines have been widely available in Alabama for months now, yet the state is the last in the nation in vaccination rate, with only 33.7% of the population fully vaccinated. COVID-19 cases and numbers and hospitalizations are surging yet again due to the more contagious Delta variant of the virus and Alabama's low vaccination rate. For the first year and a half of the pandemic, Cobia and hundreds of other Alabama physicians caring for critically ill COVID patients worked themselves to the bone trying to save as many as possible. I have questions about that because I don't believe you. Furthermore, this is, Caitlin Collins tweets out, proudly by the way, an Alabama doctor on treating unvaccinated patients who are dying of COVID-19 and consoling their families afterwards. And she highlights a screenshot from the same article we're just reading here. A few days later, when I call time of death, continued Kobe on Facebook, I hug their family members and I tell them the best way to honor their loved ones is to go get vaccinated and encourage everyone they know to do the same. They cry and they all tell me they didn't know. They thought it was a hoax. They thought it was political. They thought it was because they had a certain blood type or a certain skin color that they wouldn't get as sick. They thought it was just the flu, but they were wrong. And they wish they could go back, but they can't. So they thank me and they go get the vaccine. And I go back to my office, write the death note, and say a small prayer for that loss will save more lives. What a monster. What a monster. Now, I am not going to speculate whether or not she's killing people who are politically, ideologically misaligned with her. That thought is rolling around in my head, trust me, given the fact that conveniently so many of these people are dying and their families are running out and getting the vaccine. But to use your patient's death as a political statement, you are a demon. You are a demon. Wow. Yeah, MK Ultra's over there. How are they going to level up next? Yeah, you can't go much further than that. That is demonic. I don't say that word often, but this is a demonic thing. All right, from the Hill. Speaking of the vaccine, Steve Scalise, the victim of the Bernie Sanders backed shooter. Scalise cites Delta variant for decision to be vaccinated on Sunday. Cool. Let's hear what he has to say. And I will stick to my word. If he wants to go get the vaccination, your body, your choice. Go get it. I'm not going to talk down to you, but, well. House Minority Whip Steve Scalise cited the Delta variant for his decision to get vaccinated on Sunday. Scalise got his first shot of the Pfizer vaccine at an Ochsner clinic in Louisiana and encouraged others to get vaccinated. Especially with the Delta variant becoming a lot more aggressive and seeking another spike, it was a good time to do it, Scalise said in an interview NOLA.com reported. When you talk to people who run the hospitals in New Orleans or other states, 90% of the people in hospitals with Delta variant, interestingly enough, this is Louisiana again. I thought this was Alabama for whatever reason. So I know we just talked about New Orleans. That might have confused me. 90% of the people in the hospital with the Delta variant have not been vaccinated. That's another signal the vaccine works, he added. Texas Democrats would like a word with you. The White House, Pelosi's staff member, and others would like a word. The Delta variant has been sweeping across the U.S. and causing a rise in cases in countries around the world. The vaccines approved in the U.S. have been proven to be effective against the variant. So, well, Steve Scalise went and got it, and he wants you to go get it too. If you want it, go get it. If you don't, well, the Price is Right is on. From CNN. What Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't know about HIPAA is, well, a lot. I'm pretty sure we read this article once already, and now they're going to recycle it again. On Tuesday, Georgia Republican Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene was asked a simple question. Her answer was, revealing. Here's the question asked of Greene by a reporter during a press availability in her office. Have you gotten yourself vaccinated?
Your first question is a violation of my HIPAA rights. You see, with HIPAA rights, we don't have to reveal our medical records and health.
Okay, so you can't hear that. So, according to Chrysaliza, she was asked if she was vaccinated, and her answer was, your first question was a violation of my HIPAA rights. You see, with HIPAA rights, we don't have to reveal our medical records, and that also includes our vaccine records. Okay, this is a person who's sitting in her desk with a big sign that says, Fauci lied, people died. And another one with a big sign that says, I do not recommend that you wear a mask. Best regards, Tony. And you're telling me this woman is not a plant? This is a person who was groomed to be in here and be the face of QAnon. The news media and the political machine looked at this and said, we can make this woman a star. All she has to do is go in there and introduce the articles of impeachment against Biden, and we are going to use her to hammer against our political enemies forever. She is a plant. If somebody comes in and asks if you are vaccinated, then this was a setup. This was scripted. She was supposed to come out here and say this so that all of her faithful followers can come out and say, HIPAA violation. And then the news media can say, evil QAnon supporters, HIPAA violation. They don't know what they're talking about. This is all scripted. This is a show. This is a psyop. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a plant. If somebody comes in and asks you if you are vaccinated, you come in and tell them it is none of their goddamn business. And if they push the issue, stop associating with them, especially if it's a store that wants your money. Stop shopping there. All right, from political, this was fucking stupid. Because we knew this was going to happen. It was under contract. They formed a contract to it. The contract expired. From Political Flair, which is not a green check verified source, but I wanted to come back. I mean, you know it is because, one of their key points here is GOP hypocrisy. Americans rejoice as Trump's children, except Barron, lose Secret Service protection today. From Jason Misiak. How demonic do you have to be to celebrate people with a high profile losing their protections? Now, mind you, they have a lot of money. They can hire private security. Mind you, they can all do that. But still, how demonic do you have to be able to come out and say, hey, people might be able to kill these people? It is just demonic. For the first time in almost 5 years, Ivanka, Kush, Don Jr., and Eric and the Eric Laura team will be on their own. No sitters, no guys in nice suits, sunglasses, and earpieces around. You want to fucking bet? We're all free to guess at which one might miss these men the most. We have our guests miss $1,000 a month on hair alone, but we would just be guessing. From our friends at National Zero, as of 12:01 p.m. Eastern Time Tuesday, U.S. taxpayers are no longer paying for Secret Service protection details for Junior, Ivanka, Jared, Eric, and his harlot Lara, and Tiffany Trump. Tuesday marks 6 months since President Biden took office and ends the 6-month extension for Secret Service protection details his predecessor gave his children and other high-ranking members of his administration. Melania's son, 15-year-old Barron, allegedly Donald Trump's youngest child, I love how they put allegedly, will continue to get Secret Service protection until his 16th birthday. In March of 2022, Melania and Donald enjoy a lifetime protection detail. Former Vice President Mike Pence and his wife, Mother, also, his wife's name is not Mother, his wife's name is Karen, also lose their Secret Service protection at noon. The VP's protection is also extended to 6 months after he leaves office. Yes, they formed a deal. They made a contract. The contract is over. The Secret Service stops. They go out and they buy private security. What a demonic fucking article. And yes, that goes on here. This is from the list. Why Donald Trump's kids just lost their Secret Service protection. From Joey Keogh. Back in January, ABC News confirmed that Trump's 4 adult children would continue to receive Secret Service protection for an additional 6 months alongside their 2 spouses following the end of the controversial former president's term. Likewise, several high-profile staff members were also being protected, including Trump's former chief of staff, Mark Meadows. The Secret Service has not divulged the intricacies of such decisions as a standard practice, so it was unclear whether Trump himself demanded his nearest and dearest get continued protection. No, he probably sat down at the table with the incoming administration and said, okay, you know what? There have been a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people over here who have said they want me killed. And I love my kids. I love my kids. Okay, my kids are the greatest. I love my kids. Do anything for my kids. Can we just have 6 months of Secret Service for my kids, okay? Until we can get something arranged and private security in. Can we just get that? And Biden probably sat across the table and said, Jill! Jill, where's my pudding? All right, let's keep going. This is another one that it popped up and it was completely taken out of context. And I don't care for Candace Owens, so take for a grain of salt the fact that I'm this mad about stuff being taken out of context that I will defend Candace Owens, of all people. Candace Owens tweets out on July 20th, the COVID vaccine saves lives, which is why the government is making it free. Okay, so explain to me why insulin and asthma inhalers cost so much money. If the vaccines are really about the government trying to save your life, why do life-saving medicines cost so much? Which is that's a big point. Number one, you can go get generics on all this stuff. And, some of these government plans, these big pharma plans don't cover generics, by the way. Keep that in mind. But you've also got government monopolies, government patents, and you've got government protections that keep people from coming up and making a competitive drug. If this is all about life-saving, you would want as many people coming out here to try to reverse engineer this so we could have as much supply as possible. But instead, the government protects their big fucking business buddies who have the life-saving treatments that people will need for months for the rest of their lives, and we can charge whatever they want because they want to prolong their lives. But, of course, this led to people calling her Comrade Candace because she wants free healthcare for all. And it was all bullshit. From PC Gamer. Oh shit, we gotta get out of here. What do we have left? Gotta do this Olympic stuff. Gotta do the Olympic stuff because we put at least one of these off for a day. All right, we're going to do this and the Olympic stuff, and then we'll head out of here. From PC Gamer, Activision Blizzard lawsuit alleges discrimination, sexual harassment, and frat boy culture. From Jody McGregor, the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing has filed a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard with claims employees have faced constant sexual harassment, including groping, comments, and advances, due to a frat boy workplace culture. The suit, which comes after over 2 years of investigation, also alleges that women at Activision were paid less than men in the same roles and promoted more slowly than them. Activision has vigorously denied claims that in response today. D, can you throw an article for that in the Discord? Because I've not seen that. If you've got an article for that, throw that in the Discord, if you could, please. That would be cool of you. That would be really cool of you. Because I'm interested in that. I hear Nuke Japan out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, okay, we got to talk about that. But I know we're up on the clock and I got to get myself to work here. The filing states that women were subject to numerous sexual comments and advances, groping and unwanted physical touching, and other forms of harassment at the studio. Female employees working for the World of Warcraft team noted that male employees and supervisors would hit on them, make derogatory comments about rape, and otherwise engage in demeaning behavior. Reads the complaint, a former chief of technology officer is accused of groping inebriated female employees at company events and was known for making hiring decisions based on female applicants' looks. Okay, that last part is not right, but it happens. And we all know that it happens. I mean, look at the front of your average Buffalo Wild Wings. You know that they hire based on looks. Complaints to Activision Blizzard's human resources staff, as well as executives, including Blizzard President J. Allen Brack, were ineffective as complaints were treated in a perfunctory and dismissive manner and not kept confidential, says the suit, which resulted in staff who complained about being subjected to retaliation, including but not limited to being deprived of work on projects, unwillingly transferred to different units, and selected for layoffs. You know, I really want to play my Blizzard games again. And, I will play the ones that I've already bought because, I can't get the money back from Blizzard. And I'm not going to burn stuff that I spent money on. And I've spent some good money on Blizzard video games, trust me. But this just... you never want to spend another dime on Activision again when they do shit like this. When shit like this happens. You don't. Plus the whole China-Taiwan thing, the Blitzchung thing. Why would you ever spend money at Activision again? Seriously. Alright, let's do these ones quick and let's head out of here for the day. From the Hill, Black Bear interrupts the Tokyo Olympics. From Christian Spencer. A black bear ventured into the Fukushima softball arena as the Tokyo Games began on Wednesday, getting onto the field just hours before the match between Japan and Australia. The black bear, a species common to Japan, was twice spotted this week at the Azuma Sports Park and is reportedly still on the loose, as Fukushima officials search for it. The entire security for the event that night has reportedly been designated to search for the bear, The Independent reported. A brown bear was also spotted last month through the northern city of Sapporo, which is where the Olympic Marathon will be hosted. A guard found a bear inside Azuma Sports Park early in the morning. Yesterday, we also received similar information this morning, the spokesman said. According to TMZ, the security venue is using loud music and firecrackers to draw out the bear. We couldn't capture the bear, and while there won't be any spectators at the stadium, we're at least on alert and searching for the bear around the site, the spokesman added. No one was reported to be hurt, and the fans are not attending this year's Olympics. There's a bear at the Olympics. All right, last one. And this is, of course, from NPR, which means that we have to remind you to hit the donate link because NPR is not only funded by your taxpayer dollars, they need more. They need more so they can pick up these soft-sounding microphones to spread their progressive and communist ideals throughout the country. Remember, National Progressive Radio. Give them your money. It's not your money, comrade. It's our money. Deaf and blind athlete quits team after USA after she's told she can't bring a care assistant. This is from Bill Chappelle. Well, let's see what they have to say. Becca Myers, a swimmer as seen as a favorite to bring gold home from Tokyo, has canceled plans to compete in the Paralympics after being told she can't bring a personal care assistant to Japan. Myers is deaf and blind. U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee officials say they don't have space for her to bring an aide because of coronavirus restrictions on athletic delegations. I've had to make the gut-wrenching decision to withdraw from Tokyo 2020 Paralympics, Myers said Tuesday in a statement posted to her Facebook page. I'm angry, I'm disappointed, but most of all, I'm sad to not be representing my country. Myers, 26, said officials have not taken her and other athletes' needs into account. She won 3 gold medals at the 2016 Rio de Janeiro Paralympics, but the new experience also left her deeply shaken. In a strange new surrounding, she's struggled to accomplish essential tasks on her own, such as finding athletes' dining halls. Since then, her mother, Maria Myers, has accompanied her at competitions as a personal care assistant, but after being told her mother can't join her in Tokyo, Myers opted out. Okay. The woman is apparently deaf and blind. She's going to need some help. If the Olympic Village, commie coofs shit aside, if the Olympic Village is too dumb to know, especially the Paralympics, because a lot of people that are coming to these have some sort of disability. They're missing an arm, they're missing a leg, they're blind, they're deaf. Something like that. They're all out here for this, to represent the country, but a lot of them need care. They need help. If you can't recognize that somebody who is both blind and deaf needs another person with them, then you're dumber than shit. I can understand the situation where some of these people, who've lost a limb somewhere, that have a prosthetic, can come back and, go as well as they can with everybody else because they're strong and empowered and they have the prosthetic. This woman is down 2 senses. It's very, very apparent that she's going to need a little bit of help. Why is this even an issue? This is the fear. This is what fear-mongering and fucking fear porn gets you. On a virus that has a 99.8% survival rate. Unless you go to that particular doctor in fucking Alabama. Alright, that's it. Now I'm pissed. Now we're done. So let's get the hell out of here. Vampire Hunter, you can't put links in the chat over here. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, we gotta get out of here. Let's finish this off here. Let's do something I'm thankful for and end out the day. So switch up the scene here. So, I'm back from vacation. We had the accident that Ron Helton likes to remind me that I set my kitchen on fire. And not really my kitchen. It was just a cast iron pan, which I can save, by the way. I just need to take some time and season the thing again because all the seasoning burnt off. But, I went up last weekend and I helped out my dad. My dad's actually going to come down and help me. Now, I rent this place and I shouldn't be on the hook for repairs to the place, but with the commie coof out there, contractors are like a month behind and everything right now, and it's going to take a month before I can get a new piece of drywall put in my kitchen. Now, given the fact that I've, remodeled houses before, I grew up in a family where we fix stuff. We don't hire somebody to fix stuff, we fix stuff. I just looked at the landlord and said, you know what, why don't I just do it? Because I know how it's done. Then it's done, then it's over, and then my dad's going to come down and help me too. But, in this process, it's been a great joy to be in this process right now. Now, the fridge does need a little bit of a coat of paint, but the stove came clean. There was actually no real damage from this other than a piece of drywall. And I'm thankful for that. But I'm also thankful for the fact that, yes, my supervisor at work had a hood because the hood got burnt up. He had a hood that he gave me for free because he wasn't using it. It was in his attic. And it fits. It works perfectly. So that's going to go back in the spot where it was. What's the cost of drywall? I'm sure it's up right now, but still, to throw a piece of drywall up and that be the only repair you have over a fire where they had to have 4 firefighters in full gear in my tiny fucking kitchen. I'm thankful for that. I came out pretty well for that, and I'm thankful for the help of the community too. And that's what I keep telling people. I put the tweet out the other day. Ask not what you can do for your country. I'm sorry, ask not what your country can do for you, and ask not what you can do for your country. Ask what you can do for your neighbors. Community is what comes together at this point, and I'm starting, I'm new over to the area, but I'm still starting to build community around here where people come out and help and do what they can to try to make sure that everybody is up and beyond what the government can do for them. So I'll be doing some repair this weekend, so there won't be any weekend stream coming off of this, but I'm still thankful for community and the fact that people come together without being compelled to by a government. That's an amazing thing. That's an amazing feeling. And I try to give back more than I get back. So the fact that people are actually coming back and giving back, that's something else I'm thankful for too. So yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. More community. Do more for your community. Do more for the people around you. And hope that they have the goodness in their hearts to do the same. Because my community does. And I love to see it. And that's going to be it for the day. Let's head out of here. Let's throw some music up. All right, so thanks everybody who came by and chatted in the live chat here, hung out with us. We've got a couple more articles to do tomorrow, so we'll get to those. Plus, whatever else we have to miss, because I'm sure they're going to cram some other shit in here. Plus, tomorrow's the live chat day too, so I write your names down throughout the week, and I thank everybody kindly who chatted in the live chat through the day. So if you're just lurking, get a last minute message in and get your name in there so I can say, hey, thank you, Vampire Hunter D and MK Ultra and everybody else. So come on in. We will have a full list tomorrow for the entire week, so definitely looking forward to that. And we'll even touch on some live chat tomorrow as well. Those of you on Twitch, I think we're going to go raid Steven Ignoramus, so stick around. We will raid somebody. I don't know who it is. I don't know if Steven's on or not. I haven't seen any of the alerts for him, but if he's on, we're going to go raid him. So hang out here and come stick with us. Otherwise, we will see you here tomorrow for more Contemporary. Until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.